Now we've gotten to JavaScript. And JavaScript is what makes a web page interactive. It's what gives it logic and life. But before we get started talking about variables, we have to learn how to use console.log. Console.log lets you print values and variables straight from your JavaScript code into your web browser's console. Now, you can access your web browser's console by right-clicking on your web page, pressing Inspect Element, selecting the Console tab on the top right. Here, you'll see error messages, warnings, and whatever you print using console.log. Now, with that out of the way, we can get into variables. What is a variable? Well, a variable simply stores information. For example, here we have a variable called favorite fruit. And we can basically think of it as a box that can hold something inside it. In this case, since my favorite fruit is an apple, let's make the variable hold an apple. Now, if I were to create a website that says what my favorite fruit is, instead of writing my favorite fruit is apple, I could simply say my favorite fruit is whatever is in this variable called favorite fruit. Now, why does this matter? Because if we want to change what our favorite fruit is, we wouldn't have to rewrite the code that displays favorite fruit. We can simply assign a new fruit to this variable. So for example, now my favorite fruit is a banana, and we did this without changing the underlying logic and the code underneath the website. Now let's take a look at how we would actually use a variable in our JavaScript code. Here we have a variable called name, and we assigned it to be equals Daniel. Now notice how the quotation marks indicate that the value that we assigned to the variable is a word and not another variable. Here we have another variable called age. We assigned it to be equals 19. No quotation marks needed here since it's not a word but a number. And finally, we can use other variables when assigning. For example, here we use the value in the age variable to assign the next age variable. And as you expected, you can do operations and math with variables, such as adding them together or subtracting them. You can even add words together or words with other numbers. Now, variables are a very important component of computer science, so it is important that you have practice with them. Open up the starter JavaScript file given to you and work through the tasks.